Leslie will have joined. All right, hello everyone. Good to see everyone on this Monday afternoon, Monday evening for folks on the East Coast. I am going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is now 2:37 p.m. West Coast, 5:37 p.m. East Coast time on September 23rd. And we will go ahead and start this meeting with a roll call. Daniela, can you please do roll call for the board, please?
Yes. Ashanti Blaze Hopkins,
Here.
Emily Block,
Here.
Carolyn Burt,
Here.
Reginald Hardwick,
Here.
Adam Sennett, not here, Kevin Smith,
Here.
Wesley Wright. Is Wesley here?
Not yet.
Okay. Danielle Ibarra, I'm here. Chris Vaquero.
Here.
Cool.
Oh,
Thank you guys.
thank you so much, Daniela. So this is the last board meeting of my term as president of SPJ. Very, very bittersweet moment, I would say, right now. And so we have a lot of things that we have on our agenda, and so I want to make sure that we have enough time to get to everything. So I want to start with an approval of the minutes. If I can get a motion to approve, and I might do this, I'll separate them. Can I get a motion to approve the board minutes from June 8th, 2024?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes from June 8th, 2024, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Can I also get a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes from June 26th and 27th? We'll take that as a slate.
I motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the special board meeting minutes from June 26th and June 27th, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
opposed? Okay. All right, we will now move on to the president's report. I want to start this report first by thanking all of the committee chairs who agreed to serve during my term as SPJ president. And I want to take this time to name them all in no particular order: Eleanor Vega, Jody Spotted Bear, Fred Brown, Sharon Opsatz, Peter Rasmussen, Jeff Kolb, Dan Kabitsky, Tim Igo, Sheetal Banchadaiya, David Coulier, Sarah Catania, and Adam Sennett. I wanted to thank all of you so very much. I know that the work that you all do is so very important to what we do here at SPJ. And I also know that, this is not something that any of you are paid to do. So a lot of the work that you have done has been on top of the work that you do for your job that actually gives you a paycheck. And so in understanding everything that you all have put into it, I just want to pass along my heartfelt thanks. I also want to share some of the truly great work that many of these committees have done over the past year. Of course, the full committee reports are in the SPJ board meeting packet online, so please feel free to review all of those in depth. But I just wanted to go through kind of a couple of the highlights from some of the committees during my president's report. So first, I want to start with the SPJ Diversity Committee. They organized several educational talks with newsmakers such as Holly Edgell, managing editor of NPR Midwest, Jesse Sanchez, MLB director of Talent and Diversity Outreach, and Donna Ladd and Kimberly Griffin, co-founders of Mississippi Free Press. These speakers shared their career experiences, focusing on leadership skills, mindful storytelling, and coping with job challenges. Next is the Legal Defense Fund. LDF considered requests and granted funds to support litigation and legal assistance to journalists that enforce public access to government records and proceedings. Aligned with its mission, LDF weighed all requests for money with special consideration for activities that would amplify the most far-reaching and positive outcomes. LDF also considered requests for SPJ to join amicus briefs in litigation supporting the First Amendment and access to public records. From October 2023 until the present, this year's LDF committee considered and responded to 16 requests for funding, 13 requests for SPJ to sign on to amicus briefs in cases involving journalists and news outlets in the First Amendment, and 2 requests to join a public letter or draft memorandum to a government agency. Next, the Nominations Committee. The Nominations Committee secured nominations for all available board positions and regional coordinator roles. Each reached out to all pro-chapter presidents in regions with open regional coordinator positions to ensure broad outreach and engagement. The committee also organized 2 information webinars to increase awareness about SPJ's mission, board responsibilities, and the election process. And I want to remind everyone, the elections open on Friday, this Friday, and close on Monday. So please, please, please keep an eye out in your email and be sure to vote. That will be a digital vote. The Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee's biggest accomplishment this year is primarily the work of Vice Chairman Chris Roberts, a comprehensive update to detailed and current explanatory online links from each of the 35 links in the SPJ Code of Ethics.
No, we're going that way. Wait.
The committee also put together 3 webinars for Ethics Week, April 20th through to the 24th, and is planning another for the first week in September, all concerning issues surrounding the 2024 elections. The committee is writing 3 new real-life ethics analyses for the SPJ website, the latest being the controversy surrounding Donald Trump's interview at the NABJ convention. The committee also had a number of online discussions and Zoom meetings designed to help SPJ leaders formulate statements about ethical issues in the news, ranging from coverage of the Hamas attack on Israel and its aftermath to the ethics of using interview questions proposed by the interviewee's associates. Next, the Education Committee. The Education Committee has added 2 videos from its spring semester Zoom events, one on how to use Substack to expand your audience and one on improving your LinkedIn success, plus plans to add at least 1 more video on how to understand and report on election polls. The committee is also finalizing an additional resource thread for students that lists diversity opportunities, including networking groups, fellowships, internships, and other opportunities from organizations working to diversify the industry. So that's just a broad, sweeping highlight of what some of the committees have done this year. What I also wanted to share with all of you is what we did as an organization this year. We issued 30 statements advocating for the First Amendment and a free and unfettered press. We joined more than a dozen coalition statements advocating for the rights of journalists across the country and abroad. Through the Legal Defense Fund, we distributed more than $20,000 in support to organizations and individuals in support of the LDF's mission to aid journalists in defending the free press, the freedom of speech and press guaranteed by the First Amendment. We negotiated a crucial reinvestment plan with the SPJ Foundation to help right our financial ship and provide a runway to identify additional sources of revenue for our organization. We also hired a very talented and transformational executive director in Caroline Hendry, who was already beginning to make a positive impact on the trajectory of SPJ in various aspects of the organization in just her first 4 months in that role. At this point, every single year, we like to give out the President's Award. And that award is given out each year by the sitting SPJ president in recognition of outstanding contributions of talent, truth, and energy of the highest level for the betterment of the profession, the society, and its members. The first President's Award goes to someone who never hesitates to say yes when asked to serve on an additional committee or lend her insights and expertise when needed. While she is often quietly observing, when she does speak, her words are impactful, inclusive, and thoughtful. This year, she was asked to serve on the Executive Director Search Committee, and her voice was instrumental in making the committee's final recommendations to the SPJ board. Receiving a 2024 SPJ President's Award is SPJ Foundation board member, April Bethay. April, thank you so much for your service. Appreciate you so very much. April, I know you're here. Would you like to say a few words?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Shashanti. It's been, I know this has been a really interesting year is probably an understatement. But you've stepped up to the challenge in so many different ways, and it's been great to see what you've been able to do with the organization, and hope to see you continue to stay on and serve in a different capacity. But thank you for allowing me to serve on the executive committee or the search committee. I'm super excited to have Caroline on board, and thank you.
Thank you so much, April. This second President's Award goes to someone who has gone above and beyond in service of SPJ for decades as a journalist in college, an SPJ chapter president, an SPJ National Committee member, and an SPJ board member. This year, without question, was quite challenging for our organization in many aspects. And as president, it is always critical to have a strong team around you as tough decisions must be made. This person offered both strength, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to the present and future success of SPJ. This next 2024 SPJ President's Award goes to SPJ incoming president, Emily Block. Emily, do you want to say a few words?
I didn't expect this. You put the secret from me. I'm
I
so
did.
impressed. I'm just completely honored and flattered and really, really grateful for this. You have made sure to keep me worked into every meeting and every phone call and every email and correspondence possible so that we could truly be a lockstep team and for this transition to be seamless. And I promise to continue that effort with Chris moving forward and make sure that this continues to be a really seamless transition to keep SPJ successful. And I'm just so grateful to have learned under you. And as I have told you privately many times, but I'm happy to announce publicly, I am not letting you go very far, and I will be calling you a lot. So I'm just really, really humbled and grateful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. The third President's Award goes to someone who reached out to me right before my term as president and said, I just want to help SPJ. How can I help? I asked about their interests and goals, and together we came up with a way for them to make an impact on not just SPJ, but the journalism industry as a whole. Over the last year, this person has led the SPJ Journalist Mental Health Task Force, and under her leadership, the task force planned and executed programming to help journalists across the board who have been laid off in droves from newsrooms across the country. The task force developed a resource and guidance to help better support the mental health needs of journalists. This next 2024 SPJ President's Award goes to Anastasia Bolden. Anastasia, I know you're here. Do you want to say a few words?
Well, if I can get it together. Oh my gosh, I am so honored. Thank you so much. It's so unexpected, but really it's I am so grateful to have met you and through Daniela, who deserves 90% of this award because she connected us, and you were open and interested in having this conversation and gave me so many opportunities to put the right people in the right places to have this very important conversation and produce a report that hopefully we can take forward. So really thank you to your leadership and everybody's support. I don't want to miss anybody, but I know Jen and I know Emily, and you guys are just amazing, and the honor is 100% mine. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. The fourth President's Award goes to someone who is in large part a major reason SPJ is in such a better place than we were just a year ago. This person has been so instrumental in ideating creative solutions to address SPJ's financial challenges and reaching out to other donor organizations, foundations, and other institutions to find ways SPJ could both broaden and strengthen partnerships for the benefit of the society and our profession. He has been at the forefront of advocating against government agency gag rules. He's also lent his legal expertise a time or two as SPJ considered signing on to countless amicus briefs and other coalition statements. He was instrumental in the executive director search committee's outreach to ED candidates and the deliberations themselves. It is my honor to award this next 2024 SPJ President's Award to SPJ Foundation board member Frank Lamonte. Frank, I know you're here. Do you want to say a few words?
Oh, golly, thank you so much. My computer actually froze up and had to reboot. So I'm so glad I got back what I did for this. What a treat. This just could not mean more coming from you, Ashanti, because you have been such a healer for this organization, the perfect president at the perfect time. And the reason that you were so effective at being a healer is because you are universally respected by every single person up and down this organization. And so you have been the exact person that we needed at the right time, and will always be in your debt for the year of service that you gave. And thank you for letting me be a small part of it.
Thanks so much, Frank. The final President's Award goes to someone who didn't hesitate when I called and asked him to serve SPJ during my term as president. As we started the conversations about pulling together an executive director search committee, I knew we needed a chair that was organized, insightful, and would keep the trains running on time. While he had never served in SPJ leadership, there was never a doubt in my mind who I wanted that person to be, and he exceeded all of my expectations. A process that could have taken the better part of a year took a matter of months because of his leadership and guidance. And best of all, he made serving on the ED Search Committee an enjoyable experience with a phenomenal outcome. The final 2024 SPJ President's Award goes to SPJ Member at Large and SPJ Executive Director Search Committee Chair, Matt Pierce. Matt is not here today because he is off doing his amazing work as a union head in Los Angeles here. So I will definitely pass this along to him. Hopefully he will see this recording and he will know how much we are in debt to him and his service and the amazing job that he did in that role in helping us to find our fantastic executive director, Caroline. So just thank you so much, Matt. We appreciate you. And I will talk to you soon, I'm sure. Okay, looking forward. I'm very confident in the leadership of your new president, Emily Block. I ensured that she was, as you heard earlier, in every meeting, on every phone call, CC'd on every email, whether she wanted to be or not, so that she would be able to hit the ground running on day one of her term. I have made it clear to her that I'm always only a phone call or a text away if she needs me in any capacity, and I think she's going to do a phenomenal job. I did want to share when I started my term as SPJ president, my goal was to leave the organization better off than I found it, to show that we are all capable of so much more when we focus on the things that unite us rather than the things that divide us, that we are always stronger together, and together we can accomplish amazing things. Looking back over the last year, I feel like that is what I've accomplished. My hope is that the future of SPJ looks a little brighter for all of you after my term as president, that the work I was able to do has provided a foundation that future presidents can build from and ensure SPJ will be around for many more decades to come because our organization is desperately needed to help sustain our industry and thus our very democracy. It has been such an honor to serve as your president, and I thank all of you for entrusting me to lead this historic organization, especially during one of the most challenging times in SPJ's history. So I want to move on to the executive director report. So Caroline, I want to turn it over to you now.
Well, thank you so much, Ashanti. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you, not just since I started, but from before I started. It's just been a really great, as I've said all along, I've appreciated your leadership throughout, and you really have given the organization a great foundation to build on. So I'm extremely grateful. And I would just also say that the rest of the board has been incredibly generous with their time. You know, current board members, past board members. I feel like my initial time really needed to be a listening tour, and so many people were so patient with their time. I also I've talked to chapter leaders, regional coordinators, and just saying, Ashanti, your communication with regional coordinators has been really helpful, and including me in those meetings has been enormously helpful. Regular members that I've gotten a chance to talk to, it's just been really super helpful, and people, I just can't tell you all how much I've appreciated it. I do have a written report in the board packet where I get into quite a bit of detail. I kind of divided it into two main parts: addressing our structural challenges, and then sort of some activities that we undertake to implement our core 4 pillars in our strategic plan framework. So I would encourage you all to take a look at that, where I get into greater detail. But right now, I want to just go through some of the structural challenges and kind of our initial thoughts and how to address them. So first, I'll talk about membership. On the plus side, with membership, we still have thousands of dues-paying members. There's plenty of goodwill for SPJ among those members. The downside, of course, is that it's been on a downward trend. The trajectory has been down. There's a ton of frustration with our member database. And that's sort of the number one thing I've heard from people as I've talked to them in all kinds of in-person and phone and online settings. So after looking at the situation, trying to work with our current vendor basically all summer long, many meetings, many emails, I've come to the view that what we need is something new. And I know that's not a shock to a lot of people. So the plan is to shift to a custom-made database this winter, and hopefully by early spring, we'll have a new member database up and running. There's certainly pros and cons to having a custom-built solution, but I do think in this case that there's certainly trade-offs, but the upside is that it's tailored to our specific needs. And that has been a perennial problem, that the vendors that we've had haven't been able to address our particular needs. So what we're looking for is simplicity. We're looking for reliability. And we also are looking for something cost effective. And one of the advantages of moving to this custom built solution is actually a lot of the design work. The software has actually already been built. We're very fortunate that we have a longtime web administrator who is very gifted in this area. And so I also feel that the commercial association membership platforms will still be there. If for whatever reason, the custom built database doesn't meet our needs, the platforms that cater to associations will still be there. So I really invite questions about the database moving forward. I think probably the best bet at this point is to put those in writing, because I want to make sure that we're really thoroughly addressing those carefully and accurately. So I would like to invite you all to submit questions that you may have going forward. But I'm actually really excited about this. I think it'll be a real relief to all of our members, our chapter leaders, our regional coordinators, our staff. There is a need for a change, and that's the number one thing I've heard about. So, kind of vying with that issue has been, of course, our concern about our finances. So they're tied together, but I would say that on the plus side, when I look at the financial situation, I see a great mission. SPJ has a fantastic mission that is more important than ever. And I think a lot of people know that we play a really important role. Also on the plus side, we do have thousands of dues-paying members still, and we have a sister foundation that is committed to our success and are, tied together with our mission. So, obviously the challenge is there. We've had years of deficits. We've had resulting budget cuts, staff cuts, program cuts, and the current situation is obviously not sustainable. I really think the problem at this side at this point resides on the revenue side, not the expense side. We really need to bring in new sources of revenue. And I think that is very doable. As I said, we have a very strong mission. We play a really important role. I'm very optimistic that we can bring in external sources of revenue. Membership dues can no longer be a mainstay. We can't have a high functioning national organization, never mind two, when, with the foundation on the back of membership revenue. And the same thing with awards entry fees. They've been an important part of our revenue, but we cannot rely on that to, bolster our operations more broadly. So we need to seek grants from institutional philanthropists. We need to seek sponsorships. We're going to have a convention next year in October. It's very important that we secure robust sponsorships for that event to ensure that Media Fest 25, it is carried out at a really high level of quality and great member experience. So I think defining our lane in the national journalism landscape is really important to attracting those external funders. And I'm going to say more about this later, but I do want to just say that we need a structured process to clarify our strategic priorities. I come at this challenge with the idea that SPJ does not need a wrecking ball. I think of it like a beautiful historic mansion that needs a renovation, not a wrecking ball. I think that we have great assets that are underappreciated. I think at a time of growing awareness and much greater awareness that there used to be, that we have a local news crisis, our structure works in our favor. The chapter structure, the regional groupings, the national leadership, this is a great asset. I actually even think of it as a national treasure. We have to make sure that it's shored up, that it's remodeled, that it actually can serve us now in the journalism landscape that we're in. And so again, I think of this process as kind of a prerequisite for securing the kind of external funding that we need. And I will circle back to that. Before that, I just want to talk about, this priority setting process. I want it built within the framework. We have a strategic plan framework that identifies 4 core pillars. We're champions for journalists. We are fighters for the First Amendment. We are stewards of ethical journalism, and we're producers of journalism's future. So I want to just hold up a few of the activities that we've undertaken to advance those priorities, right? So on fostering and recognizing achievement, one way we do champion journalists is through our annual awards programs. They inspire excellence and they highlight exemplary achievement through these awards. For professional journalism, we have the Sigma Delta Chi Awards. It honors journalism in all forms. This year, it attracted more than 1,250 entries in 71 categories. I would invite you all to go to our website, and if you need some inspiration, go look at some of the work that was honored in the SDX Awards this year. So for our students, for our collegiate journalism, we have the Mark of Excellence Awards. And this year, that brought in nearly 3,000 entries in 55 categories. Those are judged regionally and nationally. Very important aspect of what we do for and with our student journalists. There is one of the only awards that has a cash prize is sponsored by the Chronicle of Higher Ed, and that's the awards for best student newspaper in large and small categories, and that comes with an award of $5,000 to each. We also have the New America Award, recently announced, that honors public service journalism on issues of importance to immigrant communities and ethnic communities in the United States. That attracted, in our most recent awards, that attracted 56 entries, and we recently announced the winners to that. So it's really important to mention that volunteers are the backbone of SPJ's award program, and we're grateful to the more than 225 judges who lent their time and expertise and their talent to the judging process. So also just looking ahead, we are adding and expanding categories for this coming awards program, and we're introducing an early bird period, trying to open up earlier and get people to submit their best work, hopefully by the end of the year, when the early bird period will end, and then we'll move into kind of regular submissions. So the next strategic pillar is being, fighters for the First Amendment. And Ashanti made clear how often and how effectively we spoke up for press freedom. It's been wonderful to work with her on this, and the SPJ team has been terrific, the communications team. We often work in partnership with like-minded organizations, as Ashanti mentioned. One of the nice things is I'm based in the DC area, so there are in-person meetings I can attend with other organization heads. It's really convenient. I've been in a number of those recently. Also, I'm taking part in the Press Freedom Policy Working Group that meets monthly. Recently, I joined the News Media for Open Government Coalition. They also meet regularly. And so that has a little bit more of a legal focus. The other has more of a policy focus. Also, I want to mention that SPJ just joined the Rebuild Local News Coalition. I'm very excited about that, to be working with the more than 40 organizations that are part of that, again, focusing on one of our great assets, which is our members working at the local level, often in chapters. I'm also happy to say that we're going to have a video explainer of the Press Act coming out shortly. There is still slim hope that it will get through the 118th Congress. Let's hope so. It's greatly, greatly needed. A federal shield law. It's long overdue. So another pillar, of course, is we're stewards of ethical journalism. As Ashanti mentioned, some of the highlights of the ethics committee work, that's critically important. The SPJ Code of Ethics is really a crown jewel, and it's a lodestar in the profession. We're known for that nationally and internationally. On the staff side, Rod Hicks is our point person for questions about ethical issues that come from the journalism, from newsrooms, freelancers, from the public, really. And he draws from the Code of Ethics. He draws from his own newsroom experience. He consults the ethics committee leadership when necessary, and answers questions that come in. Another really important part of his work is the journalism that he contributes to Quill. He's a regular contributor, and he focuses often on ethics matters in those pieces. So I'd invite you to look at my written report for more details about that, but ethics programming is so key. I was so excited about the webinar that we had just earlier this month, which was amazing. And I'm very grateful to the ethics committee for helping, and the staff for helping set that up. So finally, we're producers of journalism's future. I think, as I said, our campus chapters, our programming for students is a great strength. I was really excited to go to the regional conference just now in New Orleans, and I was joined by Ashanti and Frank, and we had a number of sessions that we put on. It was so great to see our regional coordinators, Jennifer Ellis and Laura Garcia, at work. They just did it. They were amazing on the ground, just making it happen. It was very fun. And a lot of it is, focused on students. We put on some great sessions on the right to report, illegal gag rules, ethics dilemmas, training on Google tools. And we had a screening of the documentary Trusted Sources. Again, it was just a great privilege to be able to attend. So just to circle back, I said I would come back to the strategic priority setting process. I'm coming to the board tonight with a request for you to approve this expense. It was not anticipated when the budget was struck, months before I arrived. But since I have come, I really believe that we do need this. And I'm happy to say I was able to reach out to a national foundation who is interested in helping pay roughly half of it. And they have invited a proposal. So, and I'm optimistic that we will get that. But at the same time, even if we don't, I think we do have to dig deep and undertake this process. I think it's really needed for our future. As I said before, it's going to be informed by a landscape analysis of where we fit in, looking at comparable organizations and who could potentially fund our work. What is our lane? What is our unique role? And then what should our priorities be? There's many ways that we could be trying to carry out our mission, but what are the most promising ways to do that? We can't be all things to all people. What are we going to prioritize in the next couple of years? I think it's critical in order to restore us to programmatic and fiscal health, and also to move us to the future and take us to the next level. So, for that reason, I think we need it, rather than a whole big old, year-long, full-blown strategic planning process. This is not that. We have the strategic plan framework that was always designed to yield more short-term plans. I don't think we just need a little short-term, like annual plan. I think our problems are bigger than that. I think we need something bigger, but not a full-blown plan, something in between just a kind of an annual goal-setting plan and a full-blown new strategic plan, like a 5-year plan. So this is a more targeted, streamlined process that I feel is more fit to purpose for the current situation that we find ourselves in. So with that, I would turn it back to Ashanti for next steps. Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the things that Caroline is requesting is $40,000 to in order to do this strategic priority setting. As she mentioned, there is a national organization that has expressed interest of potentially paying $20K of that, but in the short term, we as a board need to vote on whether or not we would extend the ability for Caroline to sign on this this consulting firm to help us with this process while she creates the proposal to submit to this national organization who hopefully will be able to pay for 50%, which would be $20K of that $40K price tag. So I would ask for a motion to approve the executive director spending $40K for a strategic priority setting process by hiring a consulting firm to help facilitate that process so that we can then also have discussion. So can I entertain a motion?
And before there's any motions, are we able to discuss anything
Yeah,
before?
so we would put a motion on the table, then we would discuss before
Okay.
we would have a vote.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
so for the purposes of discussion, I will make a motion, please. That
Okay.
we allocate the money.
Okay, motion is on the table. Discussion.
Well, I guess my first question is, can we be specific about where this $40,000 is going to come from? I mean, we have an audit report that I'm sure everyone on the board has read, and it doesn't paint a particularly rosy picture. So asking us to spend $40,000, yeah, Patty's right. We didn't have a second on the motion.
Apologies, Kevin. Hold on one second. We did not have a second. Can I get a second
Okay.
on the motion
I'll
that Kevin?
second.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Kevin,
so
go
I
ahead.
guess my question is, Caroline, can you explain to us where we're going to get that $40,000?
Yeah, I would say we already talked about, we hope that we'll get some external funding for it this year. I think it's, in the short term, it is an expenditure that wasn't in the budget, but I think it's critical for long term addressing some of the serious structural deficit problems that we have. So, and believe me, as an executive director, I've never had deficits. I don't believe in those. I don't want those. We are fortunate that we do have this arrangement right now with the foundation. The budget has some cushion in it. And I'm hopeful that we will be able to end the year in the black even with this expenditure. Now, that is because we do have a little cushion built into the budget. Unfortunately, I think some of the revenue estimates were for this current year in the budget were not realistic in a non-convention year. The figures that were kind of based on what can be brought in a convention year, and it's different this year. So that's a little bit of a concern. I mean, it's not a little bit of a concern, it's a big concern, but I still believe that we can end the year in the black. That's what I'm working for. That's my goal. So the idea is that we do have a cushion in the budget to be able to pay for this.
Can I also say that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emily. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No. I was just going to say, I think that the fact that Caroline went above and beyond to find an organization that would help fund this, even if it was by 5%. But the fact that she found someone that is quite interested in potentially funding 50% of this, I think also underscores the importance that she thinks this has for our organization moving forward. I don't recall in the time that I have been a part of SPJ and been engaged nationally, that we've had, and like I said, just the time that I've been here, I'm not talking about pre-me, where we've had an executive director say, this is an expense that we need to spend. I also potentially found 50% of the spend, right? So I just want to kind of underscore that this is something that, as someone being an outsider coming in and having an opportunity to really take a close look at in an audit of what we're doing and where we should be, and as an executive director who in the past has never operated under a deficit, there's a huge part of me that feels like that gives me some encouragement that this is a good decision to make. So I just wanted to share that just to give some additional context. Emily, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a few questions, but first, Patty has a question in the chat that I think would be helpful context. Are we allowed to say or identify the group that may be providing that financial assistance for 50%, or is that not an option right now?
I don't think it's a big secret, but it's I think it's putting the cart a little bit before the horse.
I mean, to be honest, until the organization signs on the dotted line, I wouldn't be comfortable with sharing who it is. They haven't confirmed that they're going to give it yet. They've said, we're interested, send us a proposal so we can review it, and then we can give you an answer. I don't think it's appropriate for us in a public setting to be sharing that information.
Thank you. Patty's giving a thumbs up, so I think that's asked and answered for now. My first question, we talk about potentially using money from what the foundation is allocated to us and how that is making a huge difference. I just wanted to know and have it on the record if we've talked to the foundation board members at all about this plan and what their sentiments are generally, and if that's something that would be appropriate to do now if we haven't yet.
I have talked, yes, I've talked with, I meet every other week with the foundation board president, and my understanding is she's supportive of it. She was on the call. I don't know if she's still here. Yeah, I think she was only able to stay for a little while. But we've talked about it very much so. We're having a meeting with the foundation board, in-person meeting, and Emily, you're going to come and meet with some folks then. It's this coming weekend. So I do think that, I'm certainly going to be talking to the foundation about this. It's, as I said, I think I'm not coming to the foundation and saying, please give us more money for this. I do feel like, my hope is that we can fund this with the appropriations that we already have. And my understanding, I haven't heard any, I've been talking for weeks about this with the foundation leadership, and it seems like there's support. So
I appreciate that. I think that's important context to have, just to know the foundation's general sentiment if we're using money that's coming from them towards this. My other question, I've asked this privately before, but again, this is one of those things I think would be helpful to have context in the general group and on the record, is why is it pertinent that this decision happens now and not with the next board?
I want to just share. One of the things that I think is important to understand is that this spend would impact this year's budget, not next year's budget, which hasn't been created or voted on or any of those things yet. And so in order for it to impact this year's budget, which is the ask, that would mean that this particular board would need to vote on it. Because we are the ones that approve the 2024 budget to begin with. So we are the ones that would also need to approve, an addendum to that budget. So I think it makes sense that it would come from us.
And once that's, if that's hypothetically approved and stamped, and then the new board comes in, what does that necessarily lock or not lock a new board into?
I don't think it locks them to anything other than the fact that the process goes forward, right? So whatever comes out of that process is still going to have to be presented to that new board. They're going to have discussions about it, and they're going to potentially take a vote to adopt whatever suggestions come out of that process, right? So I don't think it locks them into anything one way or the other. But I think this is to make sure that we get this process going sooner than later, because I think it's definitely needed.
This is helpful. Thank you.
I just have a couple questions. So, if this is approved, what's the process? How long does it take? Just so it's on the record, what are we expecting to receive? Is it they're developing a 3 and a 5 year plan? Is it a lengthy presentation? Is it a separate special meet? Like, I have so many questions about what we would receive and how it helps going forward. Not that I don't believe in a strategic plan, which I think we would all say sure, but with the dollar sign, I want to be extra cautious on what that means and how we're benefiting and, what happens after today.
So as I mentioned in my memo on this, which is in the, it's in the packet, I'm hoping we can get this done in about 3 months. And I will just clarify, it's not a full-blown strategic plan. A full-blown strategic plan usually takes like a year and could cost like 3 times this. So that isn't what we're calling for. We're calling for a much more streamlined process over just 3 to 4 months. And that is one of the reasons we want to get going sooner rather than later. It will be a process that, I mean, the preliminary plans are to engage the board at certain steps along the way. The preliminary idea is to do a landscape analysis and then come back to the board with some initial findings from that and get board input into some kind of emerging priorities and maybe some decision points that need to be made. So there'll be, you know, kind of a series of meetings. It's not going to be just a consultant making all the decisions, far from it. But at the same time, there isn't the budget or the, you know, time foreseen that's going to be like very, very exhaustive, talking to everybody. But there will be in-depth conversations with people, like structured interviews. As I said, a landscape analysis, multiple meetings to, you know, of hours long meeting, you know, like 2-3 hours at a time over the course of the process. So it's a step-by-step process that I think is just really important to get to clarity and have it professionally conducted by someone who does this as their work. You know, this is what they do. It's not some side thing that they're just sort of, you know, hey, it's cool to brainstorm. That's not what this is. This is much more focused and structured. Does that make sense? And it isn't, just to say, it isn't, you know, it's really to be actionable. You know, what are we going to pursue right in the immediate future coming into 2025? What are our top priorities? So yeah, I hope that helps a little bit, but feel free to follow up.
No, I appreciate it. And I have the memo. I just wanted to make sure, you know how many people don't always read. So it's nice to enunciate some of those thoughts in the real meeting here. And yeah, I appreciate that clarification on some of those points.
I do have one last question. So do we have a company in mind? Do you have a company in mind, or is this going to be out for open bid? How's this going to move forward?
Well, from my perspective, as I said, I would really like it to have been done yesterday. I think it's extremely important because I do think right now we're greatly in need of clarity. I would like it to be targeted and streamlined. I do have a consultant in mind, someone I've worked with successfully on multiple occasions, and know that this organization is very capable of producing what we need and the time available, and working with us as an organization to do that. So, you know, if this were a full-blown 5-year strategic plan, I would be looking at a different process, and that would start with, you know, selection of vendor as a different process. But to me, this is much more scaled down, much more urgent. And I think, you know, Kevin, right up front, you mentioned the audit and what it shows and the level of red ink that this organization has been facing in recent years. We don't have the luxury of waiting, in my view. I think it's urgent for us to clarify what is our lane, what is it that we are putting forward as our value proposition to the field. And again, I think it's when we're thinking of external audiences, it's just vitally important.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Are we ready to vote on this item? Okay, all of those in favor of the motion, actually, do we need to call the question? No, okay. All of those in favor of the motion on the floor to allow the executive director approval to spend $40K for a consultant to help with the strategic priority setting process, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously.
For minutes purposes, should we phrase it as up to 40K? Since it might be, since some of it might be, or up to 41K, since some of it might be secured from grant funding?
We could probably do up to 40K. I think that's fine, as far as the minutes, just so that it
Also in
reflects
writing,
that.
it's 41, just to be clear. In the written request, which I
Gotcha.
also put a link to in the chat. So
Gotcha.
41.
Okay, up to 41K.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now moving on to the audit report. Daniela, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be super brief. So we had, wait, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be super brief. So we had a clean audit. There were no irregularities that were found in it. Like Caroline mentioned earlier, it really just highlights the need for more revenue. That's something that's super apparent in there. But like I said, I was going to be super brief, so that's pretty much it. There was nothing out of the ordinary in there. Caroline, Ashanti, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add.
I guess I would just add, and I'll let Caroline add to this as well. If you look through the audit, obviously you can see the deficits and the issues that we were having with our finances. And I think that further underscores the vote that we just took, right? That in order for us to increase the streams of revenue that we have coming into the organization and prevent us from going backwards to where we were in 2023 and even in 2022, we have to make sure that funders, donors, folks that can create those additional streams of revenue for us understand that we have a very specific direction, that we have a plan, that we are executing against that plan. Because if we can't show that, nobody's going to fund us. And so I just want to say that I think what the 2023 audit report really does show is the need for us to move forward in a way that is more intentional and purposeful, so that that is the message that we are sending out to the world as we try and go for additional funding, grants, donors, what have you. If we're going to funders and donors in institutions that can increase our funding, and we don't have a plan and we haven't been showing them that we're doing anything, they are not going to fund us. And so I just want to use this audit to underscore the importance of us making sure that we move forward with these types of planning processes that Caroline is suggesting. And Caroline, you can add more if you'd like in regard to the audit.
No, I very much agree with that. It's, I'm pleased that it was a clean audit. Of course, that's really important. But, the message is, and is very clear, that we need new sources of revenue. And that's what I hope we can do together. I really do. It's so important.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I want to move on now to community reports. I don't see Dan. Is Dan here? I don't think Dan
He
is
had
here.
to leave for about 30
Okay,
minutes
got it.
and said he would be back around 6:30. So
Okay.
any
Well,
moment.
so I do want to extend to either Jeannie, I'm sorry, to Hazel Becker. She does want to give a brief report and update on the freelance community. So Hazel, please, I'm going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes. The floor is
Thank you.
yours.
I don't need that much. I just wanted to report that freelance community membership stays right around 500. It's dropped a little this year as SPJ's membership has fallen, so has ours. But we're able to maintain with new members joining. So that's a good thing. We have had 3 live webinars so far this year, including one on AI for journalists, one on podcasting, and one on the the PRO Act and its effect on freelancing. And there are two more planned, one on retirement and one on taxes. So the membership coordinator has started doing welcome letters, and we are getting ready to cull our weekly newsletter distribution list so that it's only members. Also, the Freelance Community Board worked with the Freelance Fund Steering Committee to help launch a new grants program for freelancers. It's mini grants up to $500 to help them attend training or enter contests and things like that. It's really hard for freelancers to do those things. So that's major. Our major effort this year has gone into those three areas. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move then on to old and new business. I did want to share, and Caroline mentioned this earlier. We were all in New Orleans. Goodness, a week ago. Oh my gosh, it's been a week ago now. And for the regional conference there. And I just wanted to give a shout out and a special thanks to both Laura Garcia and Jennifer Ellis for the amazing work that they all did there. When we landed, I don't know if many of you realize that a hurricane hit maybe 24 to 48 hours before the conference was supposed to happen. And their location, Loyola University, had to cancel the reservation. So 24 hours out, there was no venue for this conference. And Jennifer Ellis jumped into action and asked some folks and, made it happen and found a new venue. And it was fantastic. You would have never known that wasn't supposed to be the venue. You would have never known all of the shenanigans that were happening behind the scenes. Because I think that, Jennifer and Laura handled things with so much grace and it just seemed effortless. And I don't think that there was anyone that was there that felt like there was any kind of interruption. It felt like this is exactly what it was supposed to look like. And that's how we rolled. So I want to thank both of them so much for all of their hard work putting that together. It was a great conference and definitely more to come, I'm sure, because they're a powerhouse team and what they did pulling everything together. I think the sessions were great. There was students there that were so excited and enthused and energized and journalists that were already in the industry. So it was just a really great, I think, community of journalism that they were able to create that weekend. So just wanted to shout that out. Any other new or old business that we wanted to share?
I have some, Ashanti, if I can
Yes,
jump in.
Daniela, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight an effort that we made last month and kind of provide an update to that. So last month I texted Ashanti. So I used to work in Oklahoma. And one of the stations there, K4, which is in Oklahoma City, they've been having issues with the Department of Justice, or the Department of Education, I should say, specifically the state superintendent, who had been denying them into several of their meetings, basically because they didn't like the reporting that they were doing. So Ashanti hopped on it pretty quickly and put out a statement condemning that. Well, the update is today at K4, and I'll plug in the lawsuit actually. They have filed a lawsuit in federal court against the state superintendent as well as his press secretary for that. And I haven't read through it all the way, but I don't think it's unfair to say that SPJ has helped, with their efforts to, hold the powerful accountable in this aspect. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that update. So good for them for launching that lawsuit. That's what we fight for, right? We make sure that freedom of the press is sustained. That's why we're here. Thank you, Daniela. Any other old or new business that anyone wanted to share?
Ashanti, I do have one item under old business.
Yep, go ahead, Kevin.
It may peel the scab off some old wounds, but last year, those of you who were on the board remember that we parted company with the online journalism toolbox. And as that unfolded, there were some assurances made at staff that SPJ had the bandwidth and the staff to put that website, keep that website going, moving along, and keep it populated with updated information. But honestly, I don't think this board's really heard any more about that for quite some time. So I just want to put that on the radar and say, if that's something that we have the capability of doing, I would encourage the board next year to work with the executive director and the staff to see if that can actually come to fruition.
Thanks so much, Kevin, for putting that on the radar. Appreciate that. Any other old or new business? Okay. All right, then I want to move on then to our recognition of our outgoing board members. Oh, actually, hold on, before we do that, let's take a pause, because Dan Kubitsky just re-entered the Zoom. Dan, can you hear me? Are you in here yet?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, are you in a position to go ahead and give your report on the international community?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're gonna backstep a little bit so that Dan can share his report, and then we'll keep it moving forward with the outgoing board recognitions. Go ahead, Dan.
And I apologize. My wife changed her travel schedule back from New York, and well, I don't want to sleep on the sofa, so I had to go pick her up.
You are the best +1 ever. It's okay, Dan. Go ahead.
All right. Basically, I mean, for those of you who knew about the international community before, we were doing all these hardcore interviews almost on a monthly basis. We gave that up because that was really hard work for a volunteer. Actually, for a while, we were doing them every week, and then we broke it down to every 2 weeks and then every month. But we have been doing a lot of interviews with key people on press freedom issues. And if you look at the packet, you see the whole list of the ones that we have. We do have a really good one coming up tomorrow. And why isn't it on my screen? There it is. We have Danny Fenster and also Kurma Rajshiva. Danny, you know, was held in Myanmar by the government and finally released. And also it was part of the 26 who were released from Russia. And she's with Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. So the two of them will be talking about, when journalists are held hostage. And that'll be at 9 o'clock. And you should have all received the link for that. So we'd love to have you join. The other thing I wanted to point out that's really been working well this year, there are a lot of visiting journalists from overseas, or different organizations finance them to come in. And I've been sending out queries to various chapters to see if they can help out when that group gets there. And we got a really, really positive response this time around from Phoenix, Chicago, and New York. And they're all, going to be doing something. And obviously Washington, D.C. It's either going to be a reception or setting up a newsroom visit or just coffee and donuts to talk journalism. And Carolyn sent me some information about another group coming in and out of Africa, and I've reached out to them. So we may have even, we'll just be building more and more. So, when you talk with chapters, encourage them that when I write to them and say, can you help out? It can just be something as simple as, getting a couple people together with coffee and donuts and talking about journalism. And like I say, we've had some really good responses. I'd like to get more. And we're going to keep doing this.
Thanks so much, Dan. Was that it? I don't want to cut you off if you're not done.
Emily asked me to stay on, so I'm staying on.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thanks, Dan. All right, let's go ahead and shift back to recognition of outgoing board members, if we could. So I just I just wanted to take a moment to thank those who are shifting off the board this particular term. I think that your service has been absolutely wonderful during a year that was obviously quite challenging. And so I think that giving an opportunity just to say thanks is always welcome. Jennifer, if you wanted to move the slide forward, that would be great. Thank you. So Daniela Ibarra, our Secretary Treasurer, who has also been on the board for, goodness, 4 years now, is it now? 4 years, yeah. So she's also SPJ Finance Committee Chair. She's also an SPJ Foundation Board member. And so just wanted to say thank you so much, Daniela, for all of your service. Obviously, Secretary Treasurer during this particular year is not necessarily the fun times, but you know, just you showing up, being present, being willing to learn and listen, I think was something that was very much needed during this year. So thank you so much for your service, and we appreciate all of the hard work that you've done. Emily, did you want to say something too?
Yeah, and Danielle and I came on at the same time, and I'm really gonna miss having her just as another confidant and fellow young person to chat with. So she's done a really great job. And again, this has not been an easy year, so that's no small feat. And we're gonna miss her.
Daniela, do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you guys so much, especially Ashanti for helping me understand a lot of things that seem very complicated. Yeah, when I joined the board, I think I was like 23 or 24. Now I'm 27. So spent a good portion of my 20s serving. I've learned a lot since being on the board of how to be a good board member and how not to be a good board member. So thank you guys for letting me serve along you, and thanks to all the members who voted me and trusted 23-year-old kid. So thanks.
Thanks, Daniela. Jennifer, can you move this slide forward? We also want to say thank you to Carolyn Burt. She was one of my appointees for this year, at-large director, nominations committee member as well. I really want to thank her too for her work on the nominations committee. I think that you know, the list and slate of candidates that you saw, that committee did amazing work of reaching out to chapters, to presidents across the country, to make sure that we had a full slate of candidates for this year. So I want to thank her for all of her hard work on that committee as well, because I think it was very, very much needed. And I appreciate her for saying yes when I asked her to be my appointee. Emily, did you want to say anything as well?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief, but a huge part, I think, of Carolyn's presence on this board has been just like her specialty in online engagement and social media. I think like moving forward and looking at the future of SPJ, it's so important to keep those conversations in the room and at board level. We're looking at new media, and journalism today involves audience engagement and SEO specialties and social media engagement. So I'm really thrilled that we had her expertise, and I hope she doesn't go too far.
Yeah, and I also want to say, I don't think a lot of people know this, but Carolyn actually spent time with our SPJ communications team and kind of talking them through, you know, some best practices of audience engagement, and some ideas and tips and tricks that they could use to increase engagement and following on all of our social media platforms. And so, you know, I want to thank her for going that extra mile to do that as well. Carolyn, did you want to say something?
I'll keep it short. Thank you guys so much for the kind words. It was a great honor to be a part of this board and the committee that I served on. Getting to know everyone and having a presence within SPJ was really rewarding. I've been a part of SPJ since right around graduating college. I was in the student newsroom, so to get to be a part of the board is really special. And I'm excited to see what the future of SPJ holds. Thanks
so much. I can't tell you how relieved I am that I will not be on a board with a Carolyn and a Caroline because it's really a mouthful to keep them straight. So thank you so much, Carolyn. I appreciate it. Jennifer, can you move forward the slide? Reginald Hardwick, thank you so much for agreeing to be one of my appointees, Reginald, at-large director. I've known Reggie for a very, very long time, and I really trust his kind of guidance and advice and his insights. And so I just want to thank him so much for agreeing to serve SPJ in this way. And this was also one of his first years being an SPJ member at large in general. So I also appreciate him for joining and supporting the organization. and jumping in feet first as a leader in an organization. So Reggie, thank you so much. Emily, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just Reginald has been such a delight to work with. Just, I mean, like the picture of collegial and always the biggest smile in the room, and I think has brought such like level-headed wisdom to the group. So very appreciative of his time.
Reggie, do you want to say something?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. It's been an honor. And I didn't know a lot about SPJ. I always knew about SPJ, but it's the first time in my career that I was able to be a part of this organization in this role. And thank you. And it's an honor to serve with you, Shanti.
Thanks, Reggie. Next slide, Jennifer. Adam Sennett. Adam has been on the board for quite some time now as well. So he's been on this board for 2 years, but he's been a part of SPJ for quite some time. So at-large director, that's where he is exiting off of. SPJ Foundation board member, bylaws committee chair, sports committee member as well. So thank you so much for his service, his dedication, his countless hours, tons of phone calls, I'm sure all around, that many of you have probably received from him. So he's not here today, but definitely want to send our much appreciation and thanks to him. Go ahead, Jennifer. And last but definitely not least, Kevin Smith, who will be exiting the board this year. Many years of service to SPJ, as well as a previous SPJ president. So I appreciate kind of your guidance, your insights, your historical knowledge of the institution to help kind of give context to some conversations and deliberations that we've had this year. And just thank you so much for your willingness to want to put your name in the hat again to serve on the board for a second time. And so, you know, much appreciation for your voice always being in the room. Emily?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, you have so much institutional knowledge and you've always been really willing to talk to everyone and share your perspective with everyone. Super grateful. You've always taken my calls, and I hope you're not going too far, because I think your knowledge and just like willingness to get your hands dirty is super important to institutions like this one. So thank you for all your time.
Kevin, did you want to say something?
Yeah, well, you know, this meeting actually closes the door for me once again on SPJ leadership. And it is bittersweet, as you had mentioned. I joined SPJ in 1978. And in 1980, as a young baby-faced reporter, I tried to start a local chapter in West Virginia. And I feel like for the past 44 years, I've been, SPJ has been a driving force in my professional career. And I've done quite a number of things, as you pointed out. But I want to speak a little bit about the last 2 years. I know the last 2 years isn't what those of us who've served on the board isn't what we had hoped it would be. I think every board member comes to SPJ and wants to hang their hat on progressive, forward-thinking activities that we can brag about. And that wasn't the hand that we were dealt. SPJ has a slogan about improving and protecting journalism. And as I told someone last year, sometimes we have to step back and improve and protect SPJ. And I think that the last 2 years is what we've had to do. And I say to the incoming board, whoever those people may be, I think that you will continue to need to improve and protect SPJ. And along with new officers and a new executive director, I think that you are going to move us in a direction that will enable us to hand this organization off to the next generation of journalists. And they don't have to spend so much time improving and protecting SPJ because we'll have helped solve a lot of the problems and moved us forward. So thank you. It's been an honor to serve again, SPJ, and best of luck to everyone.
Thanks, Kevin. Next slide, Jennifer. Oh, I don't think this is me, Emily. I think this is you.
This is me and team. We just wanted to say how much gratitude we have for your time and your patience and your care with this organization. It has not always been an easy feat, but you've handled it with so much grace and confidence and willingness to hear everyone at the table at all times. This has been a year, a transformative year for SPJ, I really believe, as far as openness, willingness to hear people out, transparency, and thinking about optics from all ends of view. So grateful for your time and your care. And if you look under your chair, that's not true, there's nothing under your chair, but if you check your email, there will be a token of our gratitude, hopefully in that inbox somewhere. But just well done, congratulations on a wonderful term, and we're so grateful for you. And don't go anywhere.
I got a little nervous. I was like, oh my God, they broke into my house.
Can you
Okay.
imagine?
I could imagine, but
I was like, that's evil genius, Emily. I mean, I expect that, but come on now. I'm
I
like,
should have waited a little longer. And
I know you
should've,
should have
like,
waited a
taken
little
a beat.
longer. Right. And I would have been like, oh my God.
We sent your children Halloween candy early.
Right. And then we've set them loose in your house.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Oh my goodness. Well, I want to open it up for public comment, because we always have public comment, and obviously there was a lot of things that we discussed during the meeting that I'm sure many of you may want to comment on, or questions you may want to ask, but I want to at least make sure that everyone has that opportunity to do so. So during public comment, we will give folks 2 minutes to speak. Let me get my timer out so that
I can time.
Oh, thank you so much. 2 minutes to speak, and we will start. Let's see. I see Nakota Curcio, you have your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't need 2 minutes, but just as the regional coordinator caucus chair, something that I wanted to do was really thank Ashanti for opening those lines of communication with us. Most people don't know, but she's met with us just about every month of her term. And she's just created a culture of communication between the board and the regional coordinators that I know all of us regional coordinators appreciate, and that I so very much appreciate. And that commitment has been continued with Emily and Chris, knowing that it at least will become a tradition for the next several years. So that's an amazing legacy as we're navigating, shrinking of the board a couple years ago, and how we can all work together towards the same mission. So it may seem small, but it's really appreciated. And I just wanted to say thank you, and to make sure that everyone knew that was something that you did, because it's easy to gloss over.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Any other comments that anyone wants to make? Patty Newberry, see your hand.
Hi, thanks very much. I just want to give a shout out on a couple different points. I'm super excited to hear that Billy O'Keefe is going to be running the remake of the database. This is something that's been talked about for a long time, and I think it is the solution that we need at this point in time. Thank you, Kevin Smith, for returning to the board and modeling what a return to board might look like. I appreciate that. Caroline, I love your revenue strategy. It is time we speak truth. We are never going to have 10,000 members again. Conventions can only do so much, as can contests. And your strategy to look for dollars in new places is exactly what we need at this moment in time. So thank you for stating that so clearly. Thank you for the very meaty memos you put together for today's meeting that really lay out your strategy. It is the right message and the right strategy at this moment in time. And then finally, I'm super excited about where leadership stands at this time. You've got Caroline, you've got Jennifer as her number 2 in the office. And then you've got you know, Ashanti's great model, Emily leading next, and Chris after that. We are in good hands, friends, and you know, the future is ours. So I'm very excited about SPJ. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. Anyone else would like to make a public comment? Going once, going twice. Okay. All right. Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I did want to close out by saying some additional words, if you would entreat me, please. I want to give my utmost thanks to my board. This was a challenging year for sure, and I want to name all of you by name: Emily, Carolyn, Reggie, Kevin, Wesley, Chris, Adam. Am I missing anyone? I don't think I missed anyone, have I? No.
You missed me.
Where?
Yeah.
Daniela, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was looking at the I'm so sorry. Oh, I was looking at the the Brady Bunch board and couldn't find everybody. So apologies. But I wanted to thank all of you for serving with me this year. It wasn't always easy, and I appreciate all of you for just showing up, working tirelessly for this organization. I also want to thank the foundation board, especially those serving on the SPJ Finance Committee: Matt Hall, Patty Newberry, Frank Lamonte, and Board President Hagit Lamour, for your collegiality, your willingness to work together as a team, united behind SPJ. I also want to thank the leaders of our freelance and international communities, whose work is so critical to supporting the needs of SPJ members and beyond. And finally, I want to thank the SPJ headquarters staff: Caroline, Jennifer, Lou, Rod, Crystal, Kimberly, Nadia, Billy, and Dawn, for all of your hard work day in and day out in support of SPJ in what can sometimes be a very, very thankless job. So I appreciate the work that all of you do every single day. And I know you don't always hear thank you enough, but I want to take the time to make sure you hear me when I say I appreciate you. I thank you for what you do, and I appreciate all of you for hanging in there with us while we figured things out and tried to right this ship. And so hopefully, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that better days are ahead. Super excited about Caroline being here. I think already she has proven to be the perfect choice for who we needed in this moment. And I cannot thank all of the members of SPJ enough for voting for me and electing me president, for voting for me and electing me the first Black female president of this organization. And I really do hope that I left this organization better off than I found it. So with that being said, I would love to have a motion to adjourn my very last
So
meeting
moved.
as SPJ president.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll
can I get
second
an
it.
awesome? Okay, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful week. Bye.
Thank you.